The hammer slipped from my sweaty grip and clattered against the fence post, but I barely noticed, because in that split second, his hand brushed mine, steady and calloused, sending a jolt through me like I just caught fire. "Easy there, kid," Coach Harlan murmured, his voice low and gravelly, eyes locking onto mine with an intensity that made the humid Georgia afternoon feel like it was holding its breath. And just like that, as the sun dipped low over the azaleas, I realized the fence wasn't the only thing about to break wide open. I guess I should back up. My name's Eli Harper, 22 years old, fresh out of community college in Savannah with a half-baked dream of becoming a sports journalist and a resume that mostly said barista and dog walker. Life in coastal Georgia was like that. Sticky summers, sweet tea on every porch, and secrets tucked away like Spanish moss in the live oaks. I'd grown up idolizing baseball, the crack of the bat like a heartbeat, the diamond a place where boys became men under the watchful eye of coaches who shaped more than just swings. My best friend, Jax Harlan, was the reason I knew anything about the game beyond spectating. We'd been thick as thieves since middle school, bonding over stolen bases and shared crushes on the same quarterback who never noticed either of us. Jax was all fire and flash, tall, lanky, with that easy grin that made teachers forgive tardies and girls, and a few guys swoon. Me? I was the steady one, the planner, the guy who packed extra water for road trips and remembered birthdays. And yeah, I was gay. Had known it since I was 15, fumbling through a kiss behind the bleachers with a teammate who later swore it was just practice. Jax knew, of course. He'd been my first real ally, punching a bully in the nose when whispers turned to shouts. "You're my brother, Eli," he'd said, slinging an arm around me. "Ain't nobody gonna mess with that." His dad, though, Coach Harlan, that was a different story. Everyone called him Coach, even off the field. Widowed young when Jax's mom passed from cancer, he'd poured his life into the high school team, turning Harlan High Hawks into state contenders 3 years running. He was built like the old live oaks that lined our streets. Broad-shouldered, rooted deep, with salt and pepper hair cropped military short and eyes the color of storm clouds over the Atlantic. Folks said he was a rock, unshakable. But I'd caught glimpses, the way his laugh lines deepened when Jax scored a home run, or how he'd linger in the kitchen after dinner, staring at a photo on the fridge like it held answers. Jax idolized him, and honestly, so did I. Coach had taught me to throw a curveball when my own dad was too busy chasing sales quotas in Atlanta. It started innocently enough, that sweltering July afternoon. Jax had texted me from baseball camp upstate. "Dad's fence blew half down in the storm. Come help? Barbecue after. Bring your toolkit." I groaned but grabbed my truck keys anyway. The Harlan's place was a classic ranch style on the edge of town, white siding peeling just enough to feel lived in, with a backyard that sloped down to a creek where we'd skip rocks as kids. The fence in question bordered the makeshift diamond Jax's dad had built years ago, chain link reinforced with wood slats, now splintered from a nor'easter that had howled through like God's own fastball. Coach was already out there when I pulled up, sleeves rolled to his elbows on a faded Hawks tee, sweat beading on his forehead as he wrestled a post into place. "Eli, glad you made it, son." His handshake was firm, lingering a beat too long, or maybe that was my imagination kicking in like it always did around him. Up close, he smelled like pine soap and earth, the kind of scent that stuck with you. We got to work, the sun beating down merciless like it had a grudge. Hammers rang out in rhythm, nails biting into wood, and for a while it was just that, two guys fixing what the weather broke. Jax's absence hung light in the air. He'd be gone another week, leaving the house quieter than usual. Coach filled the silence with stories. The '98 championship he'd won as a player, the time Jax struck out a batter with bases loaded at 14. I nodded, laughed in the right places, but my mind wandered to the what-ifs. What if I'd been braver back in high school? What if Coach had ever suspected the way my gaze lingered during practices? That's when it happened, the hammer drop, the brush of skin. Time stretched like taffy. His thumb grazed my knuckle, not pulling away, and when I looked up, his eyes weren't laughing. They were searching, deep and unguarded, like he'd been waiting for the world to pause just like this. "You all right?" he asked, voice softer than the Georgia drawl usually allowed. I swallowed hard, pulse thundering louder than any crowd. "Yeah, just Hot out here. He chuckled, low and warm, but didn't let go. Tell me about it. Been a long time since I had help like this. Jax appreciates you, more than he says. The moment cracked open then, easy as splitting a peach. We kept working, but the air hummed with something new, unspoken, electric. By dusk, the fence stood sturdy again, a testament to sweat and shared glances. He fired up the grill, ribs smoking with that tangy sauce recipe passed down from his daddy, and we ate on the porch swing, beers sweating in our hands. The creek babbled below, fireflies winking like conspirators. Tell me something real, Eli, he said after a while, leaning back so his knee bumped mine. What's eating at you these days? You got that look, like you're carrying the whole team's worries. I hesitated, the beer loosening my tongue just enough. Just figuring out who I am, I guess. After college, it's like, the field's wide open, but I'm still swinging at shadows. He nodded slow, like he got it bone deep. I know that feeling. After Lisa, Jax's mom, left us, I thought the game was all I had left. But it ain't. Life's got more innings than you think. His hand found my shoulder then, squeezing gentle. You're a good man, Eli. Don't let the strikes fool you. That night, driving home with the windows down, radio crooning some old Springsteen about glory days, I replayed it all. The touch, the words, the way his eyes had held mine like I was the only play worth calling. It scared me spitless, but God, it felt like coming home. The next few days blurred into a haze of normalcy that felt anything but. I slung lattes at the corner cafe, dodged questions from my sister about my mysterious social life, and texted Jax updates on his dad's fence like nothing had shifted. But everything had. Late nights, I'd lie in my cramped apartment above the hardware store, staring at the ceiling fan's lazy spin, wondering if I'd imagine the spark. Coach didn't text. Why would he? But when Jax called from camp, gushing about a double play, I heard his dad's voice in the background, laughing that deep rumble. Tell Eli hi, Coach said, and my heart stuttered like a bad relay throw. A week later, Jax was back, all sun-kissed and buzzing with stories. We hit the local dive for wings and pool, him dominating the table while I nursed a soda, mind elsewhere. Dad says you saved his ass with that fence, he grinned, chalking his cue. Wants you over for the game this weekend. Hawks versus the Panthers could be a bloodbath. I forced a laugh. Wouldn't miss it. Saturday dawned crisp, the kind of fall preview that made Savannah feel alive. The stadium was a sea of maroon and gold, bands blaring, the air thick with hot dogs and anticipation. I slid into the bleachers beside Jax, but my eyes scanned the sidelines. There he was, Coach Harlan, whistle around his neck, barking orders with that commanding presence. Our gazes snagged across the field, and he tipped his cap, a private smile tugging his lips. Heat flooded my cheeks. I yanked my attention back to the pitch. The game was a nail-biter, Hawks down by 2 in the 9th. Jax, subbed in as shortstop, snagged a line drive that had the crowd roaring. On the mound, our pitcher faltered, bases loaded, and Coach's call echoed, Harper, you're up. Wait, Harper? That was me. No, not me, our third baseman, but in my rattled state it felt personal. The kid cracked a single, tying it, and we won in extras on a walk-off. Chaos erupted, hugs, high fives, Coach hoisting the cooler like a trophy. Jax dragged me down to the field, where the team mobbed us. Eli, you see that? Dad's got us unbeatable. Yeah, I managed, clapping Jax on the back. Then Coach was there, clapping my shoulder harder than necessary. His breath warm against my ear as he leaned in amid the din. Knew you'd show. Means a lot. The after-party at their house was low-key team milling around the backyard, the newly fixed fence a backdrop to coolers and cornhole. I stuck to the edges, nursing a root beer, watching Coach work the grill like a maestro. Jax was in his element, recounting plays to wide-eyed freshmen. But I felt adrift, pulled toward the man who'd unwittingly upended my world. It happened under the oaks, away from the lights. I'd stepped out for air, the night air cooling the day's sweat, when he found me. Hiding out. His voice was teasing, but his eyes were serious, shadowed by the low branches. Just Processing. I shoved hands in my pockets. Great win, coach. Call me Harlan when it's just us. He stepped closer, the space between us shrinking to nothing. Eli, about the other day. Don't. The word tumbled out sharper than I meant. Jax is right there. It's complicated. He sighed, rubbing the back of his neck, that vulnerable line creasing his brow. I know, but I've been turning it over like a bad pitch. You're not a kid anymore. And hell, neither am I. Been alone a long time, wondering if I'd ever feel this again. My breath hitched. Feel what? Seen. He reached out, fingers tracing my jaw light as a whisper. Like maybe the ninth inning ain't over yet. The kiss was inevitable, soft at first, tasting of beer and possibility, then deepening as stars wheeled overhead. His hands framed my face, steady as his coaching stance, and for the first time, I wasn't the sidekick. I was the center. When we broke apart, foreheads touching, he whispered, "We gotta be careful, for Jax." I know, but as we slipped back to the party, separate and composed, the secret burned bright as the bonfire. What followed was a summer, no, an autumn, of stolen moments, each one a risk wrapped in sweetness. Harlan and I fell into a rhythm, careful as threading a needle in the dark. Mornings, I'd drop by with coffee under the guise of checking the fence's hold. Our excuse, our alibi. He'd meet me at the door in boxers and a sleep-rumpled tee, pulling me inside for kisses that tasted like regret and revelation. Afternoons, when Jax was at practice, we'd walk the creek trail, hands brushing accidental on purpose, talking dreams deferred. He confessed the loneliness after Lisa, how coaching filled the void but left him hollow at night. I shared my fears of small-town judgment, of never measuring up to the men in the stories I devoured online. "You're enough, Eli," he'd say, thumb stroking my palm. "More than." Jax noticed nothing at first, too wrapped in senior year glory. Scouts sniffing around, college offers stacking like kindling. We three were a unit still. Friday fish fries at the harbor, Sunday drives to Tybee Beach where Harlan would grill shrimp and Jax and I would body surf waves. But the undercurrent pulled stronger. One night, post-game at a roadhouse, Jax got tipsy on smuggled beers, slurring about how Dad's been happier lately, like smiling for real. I choked on my fries, Harlan's boot nudging mine under the table. A silent promise. The first crack came subtle, a hairline fracture. Harlan's truck broke down after a rain-soaked practice, and I offered to tow it. Jax tagged along, chattering about stats, but when we got to the garage, me under the hood, Harlan spotting, our hands met over a wrench, lingering. Jax cleared his throat from the doorway. "You two got this? I'm grabbing sodas." The silence after he left was deafening. Harlan's face tightened. "We gotta tell him soon." "Soon," I echoed, but soon stretched like the low-country horizon. Fall deepened, leaves turning crimson and gold, the air crisp with change. Harlan invited me to help with Thanksgiving prep, turkey brining, pies from his mama's recipe. Jax was thrilled. "Family tradition, bro." But as we chopped onions in the kitchen, tears streaming for cover, Harlan's hip bumped mine deliberate. Later, while Jax napped off pie, we stole to the garage, his mouth on mine urgent, hands mapping uncharted territory over clothes. No more, we vowed, not till it was right. But the line blurred, desire a tide we couldn't outrun. Then betrayal slithered in, uninvited. It was mid-November, Hawks clinched playoffs, town abuzz. Jax threw a bash at their place, keg in the bed of his truck, music thumping from Bluetooth speakers. I arrived late, nursing a headache from overthinking. The backyard pulsed, teammates shotgunning cans, cheerleaders giggling in clusters. Harlan manned the fire pit, stories flying like sparks. Our eyes met across flames. He mouthed later, and my stomach flipped. I found Jax by the fence, the one we'd fixed, staring at a beer like it held prophecies. "Hey man, you good?" He looked up, eyes glassy. "Found something. In Dad's truck. A note from you. Ice water in my veins. I'd scribbled it weeks back. Can't wait for our walk. Tucked in the glove box for safekeeping." "How? When? Saw it when I borrowed the truck for practice. Thought it was junk mail at first. His voice cracked, boyish hurt slicing through. Eli, what's going on? With you and him? Denial rose like bile, but his gaze pinned me. Jax, it's not. Bullshit. He stood, fists clenched. You're my best friend. He's my dad. How long? The party noise faded to a roar in my ears. A couple months. We didn't plan it. It just happened. He laughed, bitter and broken. Happened? Like the fence? Or like you lying to my face every time you helped out? Tears tracked his cheeks, illuminated by string lights. I trusted you. Both of you. Jax, please. I reached for him, but he jerked back. Don't. Just get out. He stormed inside, door slamming like Judgment Day. Harlan found me minutes later, face ashen. He knows. I nodded, throat tight. Saw the note. Christ. He raked hands through his hair. I'll talk to him. No. Let him cool off. But as I drove away, taillights blurring through unshed tears, I wondered if anything could cool the fire we'd lit. The fallout was biblical. Jax ghosted me. Texts unread, calls to voicemail. At school, he switched lockers, ate lunch with the JV kids. Harlan tried bridging, but Jax shut him down cold. You're the adult. Act like it. Practices turned tense. Coaches' commands sharper, Jax's swings wild. Rumors swirled. Town whispers about trouble in the Harlan house. But no one knew the heart of it. I drowned in isolation. Shifts at the cafe, a blur of sympathetic smiles from regulars who sensed my wreck. Nights, I'd drive the backroads. Radio low on country ballads about lost loves. Replaying every touch, every word. Was it worth it? Harlan's late-night calls sustained me. His voice a lifeline. He's talking to me again. A little. Give it time. Time crawled. December brought chill winds off the marsh. Playoffs looming like a guillotine. The semifinal against Riverton was do or die. Stadium packed tighter than a glove. I went alone. Ticket bought anonymous. Heart pounding as I climbed the bleachers. Jax shone on the field. Triple to left. Stealing second like vengeance. But his eyes skipped the stands, never finding mine. Harlan paced the dugout. Cap low. Every call laced with desperation. Bottom of the seventh, down by one, bases loaded. Jax at bat. Harlan's signal. Swing for the fences. The pitch came high and tight. Jax fouled it off, then connected. A liner screaming toward the gap. The outfielder dove, glove outstretched, and snagged it. Inning over. Jax slammed his helmet. Roar swallowed by the crowd's groan. Halftime, I slipped out, chest aching. But in the lot, Harlan waited, truck idling. Get in. We drove in silence to the creek, headlights cutting fog. Parked under willows, he turned to me, face etched with exhaustion. He's killing himself out there. Blames me, us, for losing focus. It's not. It is. His hand covered mine on the console. But I can't lose you, Eli. Not now. The kiss was fierce, born of fracture. A dam breaking. We clung like survivors, breaths mingling in the cab's warmth. We'll fix this, he vowed against my lips. Together. But doubt gnawed. Jax's pain was a mirror to my own hidden years. Rejection's sting. Love's cruel twist. Christmas Eve dawned gray. A nor'easter brewing. Jax's text started trickling. Need to talk. My reply, anywhere. We met at the old ball field. Empty under sodium lights. Frost rhyming the chain link. He looked smaller, bundled in his Hawks jacket, breath clouding. I hate you, he started, voice raw. For lying. For changing everything. I know. I shoved hands in pockets, shivering. I'm sorry, Jax. For the hurt. He kicked dirt, eyes down. It's not just you. That. He's been alone forever. Deserves happy. But you? My best friend. A sob escaped. Feels like you stole my family. Tears burned my eyes. Never. You're still my brother. Always. We talked till numbness set in, his anger, my guilt, the tangled love binding us all. Does it make you happy? He asked finally, voice small. Yeah. I admitted. Scary happy. He nodded, slow. Then, try not to screw it up. A ghost of his grin. But if you hurt him, Eli Harper, I'll bury you in left field. Relief flooded, tentative as first thaw. Deal. The storm hit that night, winds howling like unresolved chords. Harlan called as thunder rolled. Jax came home, said you two cleared air. We did. I smiled into the dark. Think we're okay. His exhale was a prayer. Come over, please. The Harlan house glowed like a beacon, tree lights twinkling through windows. Jax answered the door, awkward but open. Merry Christmas, jerk. He pulled me into a hug, bone-crushing. Inside, Harlan waited by the fire, ornaments casting halos. Jax vanished to the kitchen for eggnog, leaving us. Harlan's arms enveloped me, kiss soft as snowfall. My boys, he murmured. Whole again. Not perfect. Scars lingered, judgments loomed. But in that moment, under mistletoe scavenged from the yard, we were enough. The fence stood firm against the gale, much like us. Battered, but unbowed. Spring unfurled green and forgiving. Playoffs a memory turned legend. Jax signed with Georgia Tech, scholarship gleaming. Harlan coached on, grayer but lighter. Me? I landed a gig writing recaps for the local paper, words flowing freer now. Our love grew quiet roots. Dinners for 3, creek walks with Jax's blessing. Nights tangled in Harlan's bed, whispers tracing futures. Betrayal's shadow faded, replaced by grace. The humanistic truth that love, messy as it is, rebuilds what storms tear down. And the fence? It holds still, a silent witness to surprises that bloom from simple fixes. Looking back, that winter was the forge, hammering our jagged edges into something resilient. But life in Savannah doesn't pause for heart mending. It rolls on like the Savannah River, muddy and relentless, carrying secrets downstream until they surface or sink. Harlan and I navigated the new normal with the caution of outfielders eyeing a pop fly in crosswinds. Publicly, we were coach and Eli, teammates pal, reliable fix-it guy. Privately, we carved out pockets of us. Stolen lunches at the harbor, where gulls wheeled overhead and his hand would rest on my knee under the picnic table. Quiet evenings on his porch, stargazing while Jax crammed for finals inside, oblivious to the way Harlan's fingers traced lazy circles on my wrist. Jax, bless him, tried. He'd invite me over for movie nights. 80s flicks with explosions and one-liners. Positioning himself as buffer, but his glances held questions, like he was still piecing together the puzzle of his dad's softened edges. You're good for him, he admitted one night over popcorn, voice gruff. Just, don't make it weird. Too late for that, I joked, and he punched my arm, laughter brittle but real. It was progress, fragile as a rookie's first at-bat. Yet undercurrents stirred. Town talk had quieted, but eyes lingered. Mrs. Abernathy at the Piggly Wiggly, her smile too tight when Harlan and I chatted in the produce aisle. The assistant coach at practices, his jokes landing with double edges. Georgia wasn't San Francisco. Love like ours was whispered about in pews and barbershops, tolerated if invisible. Harlan felt it heavier, his coaching legacy a shield that could crack under scrutiny. Recruits' parents asked questions. He confided one rainy afternoon. Rain pattering the truck's roof as we parked at the old lighthouse overlook. Nothing direct, but implications. My gut twisted. We can slow down. Hide better. He cupped my face, thumb brushing my lip. Hell no. I've hidden enough lifetimes. This you is the first real win in years. His resolve steeled me, but fear gnawed. I dove into work, pitching features to bigger outlets. Profiles on unsung Southern athletes, stories of resilience that mirrored my own. One editor bit, a piece on widower coaches rebuilding teams and lives. I interviewed Harlan anonymously at first, his words raw fuel. Losing her broke the plate, but love? It redraws the lines. The article dropped in March, anonymous byline, but Savannah's small whispers linked it quick. Jax read it aloud at breakfast, eyes wide. Dad, this sounds like you. Harlan shrugged, but pride flickered. Then the school board called, a courtesy chat, about personal matters affecting the program. That night, Harlan paced the kitchen. Jax at the table nursing coffee, me frozen on the stool. They ain't firing me, he growled. But they're watching. Closer now. Jax slammed his mug. This is bullshit. Because of us. Harlan stopped, hand on his shoulder. Because folks fear what they don't understand. But we don't bend. I nodded, but sleep evaded me later, curled against him in the dark. What if they take the team? Won't. His arm tightened. We've got playoffs to win first. April bloomed with dogwoods and drama. The quarterfinals loomed, Hawks favored, but Jax twisted his ankle in a scrimmage. Mild sprain, but enough to bench him opening pitch. He was gutted, hobbling practices with fire in his eyes. Can't let Dad down now, he muttered to me post-PT. Ice pack balanced on his knee. Not after everything. Guilt lanced me. Our happiness, fragile as it was, cast long shadows. I doubled down, extra articles, freelance gigs, to prove my place, but rejection slips piled like strikeouts. Harlan noticed, pulling me aside after a loss to the JV squad. You're pushing too hard, Eli. Breathe. Can't, I admitted, voice cracking. Feel like I'm fouling off my own life. He drew me close in the empty locker room, scent of pine and leather grounding. Then let me catch for you. His kiss was anchor, slow and sure, reminding me why risks felt like home runs. The game day arrived under a sky bruised purple, threat of thunder. Stadium electric, banners waving, band blaring Sweet Georgia Brown. Jax suited up as DH, cleared last minute, limping to the plate amid cheers. Harlan's pregame speech echoed over the PA for morale. This ain't about perfect swings. It's about heart. Showing yours. Top of the first, disaster. Runners on our pitcher Wild down 3-0. Harlan yanked him, calling in the sophomore reliever. Jax's cousin, green as spring grass. The kid loaded bases, sweat gleaming. Then Jax stepped up, Harlan's eyes locked from the dugout. The pitch, fastball, thigh high. Crack. A frozen rope to right center, clearing bags, tying it. Crowd erupted. Jax rounded bases, fist pumping, glancing to the stands where I sat, our eyes meeting in silent triumph. But elation soured quick. Inning over, a scuffle by the fence. Assistant coach and a parent, words heated. Keep your personal life off the field. Harlan, the shove was caught on phones, viral by halftime. Halftime found Harlan in the office, board on speaker. Suspend practices pending review. His face when he emerged stone, but eyes storm-tossed. They're benching me for the semis. Jax overheard, fury blazing. Because of love? Screw that. He stormed the lot, me trailing. Eli, this is on us. No, on them. But doubt clawed. We rallied makeshift, Harlan coaching from the shadows, me smuggling plays via texts. Jax played hurt, grit fueling grand slams. We clawed to finals, town divided. Supporters with Coach Harlan stays signs. Detractors muttering, family values. Finals night. Against Atlanta suburbs, diamond under floodlights like judgment. Score nodded 4-4, ninth, 2 outs, Jax facing a flamethrower. Harlan watched from the bleachers beside me. Cap low, hand in mine hidden by jacket. He's got this, he whispered. Pitch 1 ball. 2, strike, whiff. 3 high heat. Jax uncoiled, bat singing. The ball arced, endless. Foul. Crowd held breath. Next. Curve. Hanging. Crack. Sailed. Clearing the wall by inches. Home run. Game over. Chaos. Team mob. Jax hoisted. Harlan rushing field despite rules. Hugs blurred, father-son. Then me pulled in public for the first time. Flashes popped. Whispers rippled. But in that huddle, arms linked, we were unbreakable. The board relented post-win. Public outcry. Championship glow. Harlan kept his job, but with a quiet clause. Discretion. We nodded, but inside resolve hardened. Jax, medaled and recruited, hugged us both at graduation. Proud of you weirdos, he grinned. Off to Atlanta in fall. Summer returned, humid embrace. Harlan and I bought rings. Simple bands exchanged by the creek at dawn. No ceremony, just vows whispered to the water. Through storms and strikes, Jax officiated via video, teary laughing from dorm. Years folded like scorecards. I built a career, columns in Atlanta papers. Harlan retired to youth leagues, mentoring with open heart. Jax married his college sweetheart, a guy from the debate team, us toasting at their Savannah wedding full circle. The fence? We repainted it white one spring. Jax swinging the brush beside us, stories flowing. Surprises happen in the fixing, we learned, not just of wood and nails but of souls. And in America's heartland, where lightning bugs dance and rivers run deep, love's the truest grand slam. But happily ever afters in real life aren't scripted with tidy fades. They're more like extra innings, full of errors and earned runs that test if you've got the stamina for the long haul. That first anniversary by the creek, Harlan and I toasting with cheap bourbon in mason jars, fireflies mirroring the sparks in his eyes, felt like we'd stolen bases on fate itself. Yet as summer waned into another sticky September, the world conspired to remind us. Love's diamond is littered with glass shards, waiting to draw blood. It started with a letter, innocuous in the stack of bills on Harlan's kitchen counter. I'd moved in officially that June. My apartment sublet to a barista buddy, boxes unpacked amid laughter and late-night tangos in the living room. Jax, home for break, had helped haul the couch, grumbling about old man romance, but beaming when we cracked open a celebratory six-pack. The house felt fuller, echoes of Lisa softened by new rhythms. My playlists mingling with Harlan's classic rock, shared grocery lists with Eli's weird kale, scribbled in my chicken scratch. The letter was from the school district post-retirement audit. They called it routine for long-timers. Harlan shrugged it off over breakfast, flipping pancakes with that absent grin. Bureaucracy. They'll poke, find nothing, move on. But Jax, scrolling news on his phone, froze. Dad, there's an article about the old scandal. Someone dug it up. My fork clattered. The scandal, that faded finals night shove, twisted online into Harlan's homosexual hysteria, endangering youth sports? Trolls had feasted then, petitions circling. We'd weathered it with wins and wills, but digital ghosts lingered. Harlan's jaw tightened. Water under the bridge. Not if they're auditing, Jax pressed. What if they claw back your pension? Or worse, drag Eli into it? The air soured, pancakes ash in my mouth. Harlan reached for my hand under the table. They won't. We're solid. But doubt seeded. That week, anonymous calls trickled, hang-ups mostly, but one breathy voice, pervert coach, keep your filth off our fields. Harlan unplugged the landline. I stopped checking mail. Jax, protective as ever, slept on our couch 2 nights, shotgun rhetoric loaded. Anyone shows, I'll beam them from the mound. Relief came via email. Audit cleared. No irregularities. We exhaled collective, toasting with sweet tea on the porch. But the calls persisted, escalating. Tires slashed on Harlan's truck. Fag lover keyed faint but legible. Police shrugged. Pranks, Mr. Harlan. Small town. Peaked mid-October. Leaves crunching underfoot like brittle resolve. I was at a book signing in town. My first collection out. Essays on Southern queerness and sports. Dedicated obliquely to the coach who taught me to swing true. Crowd warm, questions probing. But as I signed the last copy, a man approached. Mid-40s, buzz cut, Hawks tee faded. Nice words, Harper. But some folks remember how your coach lost his grip. Heart hammering, I forced calm. Appreciate the read. Hope it opens eyes. He leaned in, breath sour. Ours are wide. Watch your back. Home. I found Harlan by the fire pit, alone, staring into flames. Rough night. His voice was steady, but shadows pooled under his eyes. Told you about the book guy? I sank beside him, stealing his beer for a swig. Yeah. He pulled me close, chin on my crown. Proud of you, Eli. Standing tall. But that night, sleep fractured with what-ifs. Harlan's snores rumbled reassuring. Yet I pictured Jax's future. Scouts wary, whispers following. Our love, humanistic beacon or cautionary tale. November brought Thanksgiving, a deliberate anchor. We hosted Jax and his boyfriend, Tyler, lanky poli-sci major with a quick wit, plus my sister and her chaos of kids. Table groaned under turkey and cornbread, laughter bubbling like yeast. Harlan carved with ceremony, winking at me. To family, blood, and chosen. Toast circled. Jax raised glass. To Dad and Eli, not perfect but real. Tyler squeezed his hand, eyes soft. My sister teased about wedding bells, kids giggling. For hours, the world shrank to that room, betrayals banished to footnotes. But conflict brewed beyond the lace curtains. Post-feast, Jax pulled me aside in the garage, tools glinting like accusations. Tyler's folks, they're cool but asked about you too. Said they've heard stories. My stomach nodded. And he defended us. But it hurts, man. Like, why can't we just be? Because bigot's gonna bigot? I sighed, clapping his shoulder. But we've got each other. That's the win. He nodded, but left early, citing finals prep. Though I saw the strain in Tyler's goodbye hug. Winter gripped then, frost etching windows like warnings. Harlan's moods darkened. He'd vanished to the garage, hammering phantom nails till knuckles bled. Feel like I'm failing you both. He confessed one sleet-lashed night, bourbon glass trembling. Promised protection, not this siege. You're not failing. I bandaged his hand, kissing each knuckle. We're fighting for us, for Jax's world. He pulled me onto his lap, face buried in my neck. Love you, Eli. Fierce as a fastball. The climax crashed New Year's Eve, town square alive with countdown and confetti. We'd planned low-key, fireworks from the backyard. But Jax insisted, one normal night, guys. Please. Tyler in tow, we bundled against chill, joining the throng by the Liberty Oak, lit like a beacon. Midnight neared, bass thumping, couple swaying. Harlan's arm looped my waist, bold in anonymity. Then, a shout from the shadows. There, the Harlan freaks. Buzz cut from the signing, flanked by two shadows, beer bottles glinting. Jack's world. Back off, asshole. Bottles flew, one shattering near Tyler's feet, glass spraying. Chaos erupted, screams, shoves. Harlan lunged, shielding Jax. I grabbed Tyler, pulling him clear. Fists connected. Buzzcut's nose crunching under Harlan's haymaker. Then sirens wailed, blue lights fracturing the night. Cops hauled the trio. We gave statements, bruised but unbroken. Buzzcut spat blood. Defending values. Officer rolled eyes. Values don't include assault, son. Medics checked us, scrapes, nothing deep. Jax, adrenaline crashing, hugged Harlan fierce. You okay, Dad? Better than. Harlan ruffled his hair, then mine. Team effort. The fallout? Charges pressed, headlines flipping. Harlan heroics. Coach thwarts bigot attack. Petitions reversed. Support flooding the district. Harlan invited to speak at a youth pride event. Buzzcut's crew outed as disgruntled ex-parents. Grudges from the old scandal. By spring, scars faded to stories. Told over beers, lessons in resilience. Jax and Tyler eloped in a quiet courthouse ceremony. Us as witnesses. Rings exchanged under azaleas. My book hit reprints, forward by Harlan. Love's the ultimate closer. Harlan and I, we renewed vows by the fence, Jax officiating proper. Words humanistic, eternal. In joy and jagged, we choose each other. Betrayal's echo lingers, a reminder. Surprises aren't endings, but invitations to deeper plays. And in our American tapestry, flawed, fierce, we swing on. Time, that sly umpire, calls fair and foul with equal indifference, but it also heals what hammers can't. 5 years post that fractured New Year's, our lives had settled into a rhythm as steady as a well-oiled infield. Predictable hits, occasional errors, but always advancing. Jax and Tyler thrived in Atlanta, him coaching Pee Wee leagues, her wait, Tyler's a he, poli-sci turned civil rights lawyer, arguing cases that chipped at the walls we'd once banged against. They'd bought a row house in Midtown, walls lined with photos. Our creekside toasts, their wedding under dogwoods, a son on the way via surrogate, kicking up a storm in ultrasounds. Harlan and I, we'd traded the ranch for a craftsman nearer town. Room for grandkids, he joked, though his eyes misted at the notion. Retirement suited him. Morning runs along the marsh, afternoons umping rec ball, evenings with me, feet tangled on the glider, plotting travels we delayed, New Orleans Jazz Fest, maybe a cross-country drive chasing minor league parks. My writing bloomed. A novel inked, Diamond Hearts, semi-autobiographical tales of love in the outfield. Optioned for an indie film that had folks in Savannah buzzing proud instead of prying. Yet peace isn't absence of storm. It's sailing through with fuller sails. The undercurrent resurfaced subtle, a health scare for Harlan, routine check flagging irregular heartbeat. AFib, the doc said, prescribing pills and monitors. Stress-related, likely. Dial it back. Easier decreed than done. Harlan chafed at rest, tinkering fences for neighbors, volunteering double at the LGBTQ youth center we'd co-founded post-buzzcut brawl. Can't sit idle, he'd grumble, popping a beta blocker like candy. I fretted quiet, stocking the fridge with kale smoothies. His eye rolls epic, while journaling fears. What if I lose him before we've cashed in these years? Jack sensed it during a weekend visit, toddler Theo in tow, chubby fists clutching a mini bat. Dad looks tired, he murmured while Harlan chased the boy around the yard, laughter booming. You okay? Scared, I admitted, pushing Theo on the swing. Like ninth-inning nerves. He nodded, wise beyond his scandals. Talk to him, like we did. That night, post-bedtime stories. Harlan's gravelly voice lulling Theo with The Boy Who Swung for Stars. I broached it by the fire pit, embers glowing like old fireflies. The heart thing. It's got me twisted, Harlan. He set down his S-more marshmallow gooey. Me too, truth be told. Doc says it's manageable, but makes you think about the scorecard. I leaned in, head on his shoulder. Ours is full of RBIs, but I need more innings with you. His arm tightened, voice thick. Then we'll steal them. Promise. Spring thawed our worries. Harlan's follow-up clean. Meds adjusted. We booked that road trip, Route 66 in reverse, eastbound from Cali Coast, chasing sunsets over Red Rock. Jack's house sat with Theo, waving us off with mock salutes. Don't elope again without me. The drive was revelation. Motels with neon buzz, diners slinging pie, Harlan's hand on my thigh as landscapes blurred. In the Grand Canyon, dawn breaking gold, he dropped to one knee. Not proposal, but pledge. Every view's better shared. Here's to forever foul lines. Tears blurred the vista. I pulled him up, kissing dust from his lips. Bases loaded, coach. Swing away. Back home, life layered richer. Theo's christening, interfaith inclusive, saw Harlan bawling through vows, me steadying with squeezes. My film premiered at a small fest, Harlan in the front row, Jack's whooping at credits. Reviews praised humanistic heart, echoes of our own. But climax calls unbidden, often in quiet hours. It hit July 4th, fireworks popping like erratic pitches. We'd hosted the block party, Harlan grilling, me mixing punches, neighbors mingling easy now, old bigots moved or mellowed. Jax and Tyler arrived with Theo, firecrackers in his eyes. Mid-boom, Harlan winced, hand to chest. Just gas. He waved off, but gray sweat beaded his brow. Panic surged. I called 911, Jax bundling Theo away as sirens wailed. Our lights harsh, docs swarming. Arrhythmia spiked, clot risk. Surgery tomorrow, the cardiologist said. Ablation, zap the rogue circuits. Harlan gripped my hand, monitors beeping steady. Batter up. Waiting room purgatory. Jack's pacing, Tyler calming with facts, me unraveling inside. He can't. Not now. Jax hugged me fierce. He won't. Dad's too stubborn. Dawn surgery stretched eternal. Hours of coffee dregs. Theo's toys scattered for distraction. Then the call, success. Harlan wheeled out groggy. Thumb up. Struck out the bastard. Recovery was glacial. Weeks of couch fort. Me playing nurse with Jell-O and bad TV. Jax rotated shifts. Tyler bringing legal briefs for Harlan to consult on. Neighbors dropped pies. The center sent cards. In stillness, we talked depths. Regrets unspoken, dreams deferred. Should have traveled sooner, Harlan mused, my head pillowed on his lap. Seen Paris, you in a beret. Next year, I vowed. Eiffel Tower selfies. Beret mandatory. He chuckled, wincing slight. Deal. But this, it's a reset. Prioritizing us. August healed him outward. Inward, bonds fortified. We resumed walks, slower paces, creak whispering approvals. Jax announced the baby's gender girl, to be named Lisa after her grandma. Sparking toasts and tears. Fall playoffs rolled. Harlan back-umping, whistle soft but sure. One game, a kid struck out, bat tossed in frustration. Harlan knelt. Errors happen, son. It's the comeback that counts. The boy nodded, eyes bright. Echo of us all. Winter wrapped gentle, holidays heartfelt. Christmas, Theo gifted us a finger-painted fence. Squiggles of love. New Year's, sober countdown on the porch, Harlan's toast. To betrayals mended, surprises savored. Years cascaded. Theo's sister arrived, red-haired Spitfire. Jax's firm boomed, advocating for queer athletes. My second book flew, Harlan's forward raw. Love taught me the fouls are where grace lives. Harlan's heart held, monitored but mighty. We traveled, Paris berets indeed, Tokyo neon dreams. Retirement deepened. Community coaching, pride floats we led hand in hand. Betrayal's ghost, a faded scorecard, lessons etched. Conflict carves, but humanity rebuilds. In our Georgia Glen, fence steadfast, we played on romantic rebels, emotional evergreens, surprising still. And if life's a game, ours ended not in tragedies out, but victory's embrace. Full count, bases loaded, heart swinging true.